You're good to go.
Oh, okay. Hello everyone. Again, my name is Nola and I am the Family Health Team Dietitian on Manitoulin Island. So I service the family health teams here. And during this pandemic and during the live streams, we've been collaborating between the Township of Asiganac to share some information. We've talked about a few different things, including panic buying and sort of cooking with pantry staples, which is sort of how this came about. We decided rather than just talking about recipes, we would try preparing a few. So today I've themed these recipes, I've called it a quarantine fiesta, just to make things a little more fun. You'll notice they have a bit of a sort of Mexican food sort of theme to them. Something fun and different to eat, mostly using either pantry items or freezer items or even like produce that tends to keep for longer. So of course the recipes are available to you on the Asiganac Township website as per usual, along with some instructions. You'll notice they're very customizable, so you can kind of swap things out based on what you prefer as a family or what you have in your cupboard that week, or in your fridge or freezer. So the two recipes we'll be making are loaded sweet potatoes and black bean quesadillas. So I've prepped a few things ahead of time. Fortunately, these are meals that the family can make together, so there are lots of steps where kids of different ages can get involved. So we'll sort of discuss that along the way, what sort of jobs might work really well when kids are getting involved in the cooking. Of course, cooking together is always a great family activity while you're at home trying to think of things to do, and so on and so forth. So first off, I've washed my hands with soap and water, but to be certain, we'll also sanitize. Okay, we've of course sanitized all our surfaces before starting today. So let's start with the sweet potatoes. I've already cooked the sweet potatoes, and there's a reason they're wrapped in paper towel. It's because I cooked them in the microwave. And the reason for that is it's easy, fast, convenient. And kids can help with that step. You simply prick them with a fork after scrubbing them thoroughly under cool running water with a brush. Prick them with a fork and then wrap them in damp paper towel, and then they can be microwaved for about 5 minutes, and that usually renders them cooked. You know they're cooked when they're soft. So you'll notice these potatoes can be cut in half with a butter knife. A good indication that they've been fully cooked. We'll cut them in half, because this top flat surface is where we're going to load the potatoes with toppings. See if this pan is big enough for all 4 halves. There we go. I'll just make a collection of dirty dishes here. So that's sort of how that's going to look. Okay. And just, of course, adjusting the amount of potato you use for how many people you're serving. Based on you tend to like larger meals or smaller. What meal is it? Is it your lunch? Is it your dinner? And just kind of adjusting that way. So I find it helpful to then slit down the middle of that flat surface to sort of open up the potato a little bit while still keeping it intact and allowing some of those fillings to kind of fall into that crevice there. So like that, if that helps. Okay. So what are we going to top our black beans with? We're going to top them today with some pantry basics that I had on hand. So I'm using black beans. So these were canned, and I've already given them a good rinse under cold running water in a colander. What that does is it removes some of that starchy liquid that's on them when they can. That can be very uncomfortable when you're digesting it. It has some sort of gas and discomfort. So always helpful to be rinsing your canned beans before using them. It also can rinse off any extra salt if you can't find the lower sodium versions. While we're cooking from our pantries, it's not uncommon to find that our sodium intake can go up or our salt intake because we're relying more so on maybe packaged foods or canned foods. So looking for that lower sodium option is a good choice. If they're not available though, don't stress it, especially right now, and with things like this, you can rinse them off and remove a lot of that extra sodium. So I'm just taking a spoon, it's not an exact science, I'm sprinkling each one with some black beans, trying to open up that crevice to allow some of them to fall in the center. Okay. You could play around with this, you could use different bean toppings if you wanted. If you saw the previous episode, you'll remember the food guide that we chatted about. It had half our plate vegetables and fruits, a quarter of our plate some kind of protein, and a quarter of our plate a whole grain. So today our protein is black beans. They're a great protein option that are also a good source of fiber. In terms of other toppings, you could really play around with this. I've chosen corn because again, it's pretty shelf stable. This is canned corn. Again, the non-salted kind was available at the store, so that's what I chose. Gave it a rinse and opened the can before getting here. You could also use frozen corn niblets. You would just need to either cook them the day before or cook them prior to topping them on your sweet potato. So again, not an exact science, whatever your preference. You could play around here, do different kinds of veggies that you prefer or have on hand. You could try peppers, you could try whichever variety you enjoy. If you want it spicy, you could add some jalapenos, depending on your tolerance level. So we've topped them with some protein and another kind of vegetable, because our sweet potatoes serve as some of our vegetable in this meal. Next ingredient is shredded cheese. So I'm going to, again, not an exact science, you're looking at maybe a tablespoon's worth on each potato. Now your cheese also, if you recall from that picture, should have brought it, is also in that protein category. So in this meal you're getting some protein from the black beans and also some from cheese. Can get a little messy, that's okay. No use crying over spilled milk. Okay, there we go. We'll use this. So I've got a toaster oven here. You could finish these off in a conventional oven, a toaster oven, or in a microwave oven, depending on the dish you're using. Of course, you wouldn't want to put a metal dish in your microwave. Really, the main point is to warm the vegetables and the beans on top and to melt all that cheese to get all that ooey gooey goodness on top. So I've got it preheated here to 350. Hoping I've done this right. This is the first time using this particular. No, I didn't preheat properly. Well, I'll pop it in and see if I can't figure this one out. Be cautious putting your hand up to a hot appliance. This one is not hot. Does Lead have the timer on to work?
We're gonna have someone come down and help.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. It's good to be able to roll with the punches, right guys? So doesn't matter what kind of appliance you use, whether you have a toaster oven or whether you have a microwave or whether you have an oven. This would be one of the steps where kids ask your parents or your grandparent or your babysitter, your aunt, your uncle, whoever you're with to help you with this step. But up to here, slicing the potato, topping it with some beans and some cheese, those are great jobs for kids in the kitchen so that everyone can get involved in making the recipe. And that's really the hope, that this could be like a family thing where you can get together and have this fun time making a meal and enjoying it together. So I'll leave those there. We're gonna pretend they're cooking for now. The effect is just to have the cheese melt. And I think we have some technical services on its way. So I will shift this over and let's shift gears a little bit. Ah, perfect.
She
Don't
can't.
you have one of these before and after ones?
Yeah, so she's
No, I
live.
didn't bring it after. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't bring one with the melted cheese.
So she didn't get it working, and I'm not sure. I know you guys have to be socially distanced just to make,
Can I step aside?
yeah, plug-ins, and
Okay.
so just know you're on Facebook Live as well.
Bunch of it.
Yes. Maybe you want to tell them what you tried to push or what you
I
tried
tried
to
to
turn
turn
to
it.
see.
To 350, and I tried to turn, so I did the top knob to 350, I think. That was the intent. And then the middle knob I turned to the little cupcake that looks like bake. But I also turned it, then when I didn't think that was working, I turned it over to the convection symbol there on the far right.
It's warming up.
Perfect.
I make no promises.
All we needed is warm enough to melt the cheese, really, and warm some beans. Thank you so much.
No guarantees.
Well, that's okay. All right. Perfect. So we'll let that cook away. I'll try to keep an eye on it to see how things are progressing, and I will try to speak louder. So we'll let that go, see how it's progressing, and then let's step on over to making our next recipe. So I'll preheat this. So for the next recipe, you're going to need a stove top, or you could use a skillet like this. I'm simply using it for the simple fact of where I'm cooking right now. So the cooking component is again something that kiddos ask for help from the adults that's helping you cook, but absolutely in assembling, this can be quite a bit of fun. So we're making black bean quesadillas. I've made these before with a cooking class. I did a kids cooking class over a March break, and they were lots of fun to make and even more fun to eat once you get to dipping them in salsa and stuff like that. So you're going to start with a whole wheat or a corn tortilla, whatever you can find in the grocery store. And you're going to top half of that tortilla. So you're just going to be filling one half here. Yeah, I smell it working. Sorry. One half of the tortilla is going to be covered with your toppings. Again, this is a flexible recipe. You can have some fun with it. You could use, whatever you have on hand or whatever you prefer. Again, we're looking for a whole grain of some sort, so that's the tortilla part, right? We're looking for veggies of some sort, so today I'm going to use green peppers. I've already diced them up. Dicing them up is a job to ask for help with, but sprinkling them on your tortilla, go for it. Choose your toppings that you like for the kids listening in. For the protein, again, we're going to use the black beans. You'll notice when you open a can of black beans, it's quite a volume, and it does more than one meal often, depending on, of course, the size of your family. So if you find you're making one of these recipes from today and you have leftovers, and you're wondering what to do with them, some sort of basic options are either try one of the other recipes from today, or they're a great addition into soups or chilies or salads even, like on top of a green salad. Or mixed into something like a Greek salad with some cucumbers and tomatoes if you're doing that sort of a thing. If you're really sort of struggling to find some recipes, I have shared a recipe website online on the Asiganak Township called Pulses. And that website has tons of ideas for using canned beans, lentils, chickpeas, and split peas. So if you're really stuck and you're not sure what to do with the leftovers, that's a good place to look. So I'm going to put some black beans on, half of the tortilla. There we go, just enough to cover. You want enough room still to add some other toppings. Put some green pepper, because I like green pepper. Green pepper is also a really good source of vitamin C. So I know everyone's talking about foods that support a healthy immune system right now. So there's a number of nutrients that help us maintain our healthy immune system. Vitamin C is one of them. Vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin D, zinc, all important in that process. So to get enough of all of those, I always encourage lots of colorful fruits and vegetables, frozen, canned, perfectly fine, whole grain sources at each meal, and a good source of protein at each meal. Okay. Add a bit of cheese to cover.
Nola, is there another protein you could use instead of the black beans? Sometimes they're hard to find right now in the grocery stores.
Yes, and what I have found is sometimes the main brand name ones are gone. Like yesterday when I had to pick up supplies for this and do my grocery shop, I found the bottom shelf of like the no-name varieties or the store brand varieties tended to be in better stock at that particular store. Also, the no-salt ones are often more in stock, I think, because it's not necessarily something people immediately reach for. That being said, if you want to still be making this recipe and you can't find any black beans, you could even substitute if you have leftover chicken or other kinds of meat proteins would also work perfectly fine in this application. Okay, so that's getting warm. Just gonna mix this up a bit so that the cheese, I could have just done 2 layers, but talking and cooking all at the same time. Just so that the cheese melts evenly. So you could do a layer of cheese before you do the other toppings and then a layer of cheese on the other side to help everything stick together. Okay? So we now fold that in half, just like that. I forgot my flipper, so this is going to be interesting. And we put this is the part where adults' help is necessary. You can cook it in a pan with a little bit of oil or on a skillet such as this. This is quite non-stick, so I usually don't need any oil, but I brought some just in case. So, sometimes your toppings try to sneak out. So what am I going to flip this with? I think I'll try a butter knife.
And if you were doing it on a frying pan, just a medium setting
Yes,
to
absolutely.
get it to, you're just looking for melting, not cooking, so to speak.
Exactly. So if you were, which is a great question actually, Jackie, medium heat's appropriate. Of course, there's variability between different ovens, but typically speaking, medium is appropriate. Now, you're not looking to cook all the contents. The contents are typically either cooked or cooked quickly or acceptable to be sort of crunchier, like your peppers. You wouldn't put raw chicken breast into this, for example, or raw other meats of that variety, whether beef or whichever. So if you had leftover chicken from the night before and wanted to just dice it up and throw it into this, and it was already cooked, that would work great. You're really looking for browning of the tortilla, melting of the cheese, and warming of the other toppings. That's really the sort of the end game in this recipe here. Try to keep an eye on both. Were there any other questions that I should have covered and didn't? Not browned yet. No. Okay.
Toppings for your sweet potatoes.
Yes.
Again, option of no beans. What would be another protein source? Chicken might be a bit big, or would that work? Or what are some thoughts?
You could dice some chicken. I know I've been getting creative with leftovers these days. So the other night I had a little bit of leftover pulled pork and I made nachos out of it and it was delicious. But I bet it would also be great on a sweet potato, a loaded sweet potato, if you had some leftovers of that variety. Or chicken probably would work if it was diced up small enough so that it could still warm appropriately. Trying to think what else you could do. Creative. You could also be creative with the type of bean you select. Perhaps you have kidney beans on hand but don't have black beans and you want to try that. Nothing wrong with that. And if you simply don't have a meat protein or a bean protein, your cheese also offers you a protein. So you could just mix it up with a few more veggies and trust or rely on the cheese as part of the protein of that meal. You could have a glass of milk or a milk alternative with that meal and then boost the protein that way. So pretty flexible. Same thing with the veggies. If you don't like corn, you can mix it that way. If you'd rather have peppers or you've got leftover, sauteed peppers from a fajita, perfect. Throw that on there. You can really make it your own, really. Not yet.
So taking proteins and vegetables that kids may not necessarily love and hiding them in something with foods that they love, such as cheese or whatever, is a great way to get them to eat a colorful meal, I'm guessing.
Or even just like being involved in food prep is a great way to increase exposure, to become familiar with new foods. And there doesn't have to be pressure that you have to eat it. You can pick out of these ones that you'll pick what you know you like out of this. It doesn't have to be that you have to put green pepper. When we did them in the class, we had cheese, black beans, green pepper. We also had green onion, which I have today for that. What other toppings? I think that was it. And most of the kids in the class chose a variety out of that. And you don't have to like things when you try them, right? That's the other relieving factor. It also helps, of course, when it's cheesy and delicious, and you can dip it in some salsa or some sour cream or whichever. So I didn't bring sour cream, I brought salsa. Okay, let's check on these. The cheese is starting to melt. Gonna turn up the heat a little bit, but I'll keep a close eye. Okay. I'm trying to think of other toppings. You could probably also do like a rice mixture on top of your sweet potato if you wanted. A rice and ground meat or poultry would work well, I'm sure, as well. You could almost think of it as topping it like a taco. What you might enjoy on a taco, you very well might enjoy on a sweet potato. So that's kind of a rule of thumb I use. I know that I like green onions on my taco, so I like them on this. I like cheese and black beans, and so that's sort of how I came up with this combo. But feel free to experiment. Slowly starting to melt.
Would you serve both of these as part of the meal, or just one with like a salad, or how would you,
Great question.
looking by your Canada Food Guide?
Yeah, absolutely. So quesadilla with the salad, great combo. Your sweet potato could also be the veggie to go along with it. That's just a bit more of a hefty meal. You might find it's too filling. So quesadillas also go great with something as simple as like some veggie sticks, some carrot sticks, and celery and that sort of thing. Depending whether it's your evening meal or your afternoon meal, whether you tend to have heavier meals at which time of the day. I typically serve quesadillas with like a veggie tray, because quesadillas to me are an easy, quick dinner that I don't have to spend too much time thinking about. I don't have to spend too much time cooking, and we can kind of work with whatever's in the cupboard or the fridge. So that's usually what I opt for. It's really not warming up here. All the technical difficulties that could occur have.
Is it warm?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. But my light is not on. I think my skillet has broken while we were doing this. I think so. It worked last month when I made eggs on it. Like I can touch it.
We can always fake it.
Yeah, I guess so. I might have to, because the other side hasn't browned at all and the cheese is barely melted. We could also experiment a little and see if we could brown it in the toaster oven. But this isn't heating up quite as quickly as I hoped either. Technical difficulties. Hopefully when you're cooking at home, you're familiar with your own oven, your own toaster oven, and makes it a little bit easier. In terms of further toppings, so we can start prepping those. I'm just gonna leave that and hope it kicks on again, but I'm doubtful. So should it not kick on again, once these are done, we'll experiment a bit and see if we can toast it in there, or we'll just pretend it worked. So other toppings that you can throw onto your sweet potato. So options are green onion, for example. Got my clean kitchen scissors here. Already washed green onion. Easy way to prep onion. Just like that. Great job for kids to help out with. It's a whole lot easier than chopping up a white onion or a red onion. And there we go. We could also try using avocado as a topping. I bought this literally yesterday and there's already a brown spot, so I was a little disappointed. So I'm using a butter knife, it's nice and soft. I'm gonna cut lines in a vertical orientation. And then I'm going to cut lines in a horizontal orientation to make little cubes. And I'm gonna remove this little browning cube. Just not as pleasant. So I'll remove those. Okay. Then I'm going to take a spoon and simply run it along the skin of the avocado to slowly separate those chunks from the skin. In place of this, you could thaw out frozen avocado chunks if you haven't been to the store in a while and you happen to have those on hand. You don't have to include avocado with this, it's just an optional topping. You could also opt for a topping like guacamole. That's perfectly reasonable as well. Okay. Trying not to leave a mess here. I don't know if I'm succeeding, but I'm trying. So, you can almost set it up like a buffet once you're ready to serve them. And I'll do this over here. Starting to smell good in here. Toppings to pick from. Alright, so those are starting to melt, so I'm going to pull those out. Another step to, those do not stay open. Another step to ask for adult help with. So there are our sweet potatoes all loaded up with cheese melted on top. And then it's just a matter of serving them up the way you would enjoy. What would you want on yours, Jackie?
Well, I think all of it to
All
try.
of it? Okay. Let's take one of these out.
I hope I don't end the video so quick before you finish because I want to try it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so you said you wanted some salsa on the side or on top? Where do you think you put it?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, and on the side so you can mix that as you see fit. Do you want a bit of avocado chunks?
Sure.
Right. You'll notice there's lots of color on this plate. Alright. I'm going to steal the pepper spoon and put some green onion on top as well. And there we go. That can make a lunch, or if you've got a bigger appetite, it could make a side for a meal, depending on how hungry you are that day, really. And I'm going to experiment a bit and see if we can't make this work in this, but my skillet is definitely not working now. Which is frustrating. It's only a year old. Okay. Yes. So you can make up your own fiesta at home. Sometimes I suggest, if you want, to kind of just eat this on its own. A few unsalted nacho chips with it. work well as well. Anyone else getting dry hands from washing them so often? Just like that. And that's pretty well it. I might try cooking this in there, but it's definitely an experiment. I didn't warm up a lot, because this isn't super hot.
Did you want to keep going live or did you want to end the show?
I think we'll end the show, but I'll let you know how it goes. Experimenting in the oven with a glass dish and the quesadilla that didn't cook on the skillet. Sorry guys that I couldn't show you the finished product. They're delicious and cheesy and gooey. Give them a try at home and hopefully you have better luck than this. I usually have no problem at home. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys can have a little bit of fun cooking together and maybe enjoy a quarantine fiesta.
Thanks so much, Nola.
You're welcome.